It's going.
So, for those of you guys who check us out, it'll probably stay up on my channel for now because I don't feel like downloading it yet. But this is not the Matriarchy, my Wednesday talk show. This is the IC Jam, where we basically just come and hang out and work on projects. And today, I myself, Matt Reese of Ideal Comics, am joined by Chris Lore,
That's me,
newly of Ideal Comics, and we're going to talk about Z-Bytes to start with. Also, Russ is going to be by later, and I need to download. He just sent me one of the trading cards. We're going to go along with the Expositioner when we finally get that done.
That's mine.
Oh, well, yeah, you'll get one. But yeah, let me just do. Actually, oh man, I'm pretty happy about this. I got to download the thing. So, what you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing all right.
How was work?
It was good. Cold.
It was cold today.
Very, very cold. Sharing this on a couple things here.
Cool. So I will, once I download this picture, because like I said, I'm just running on empty, running wild.
You've always been running wild as long as I've known you.
See, and Barry's not even here to make fun of my singing. That's unfortunate today.
I think you're the voice of an angel.
Yeah, I tell you what. That's not true.
It's like Fergie and Jesus. I'm having trouble sharing this. My Z-Bytes.
Well, that's stupid. I should probably share it to the Ideal Facebook too while we're at it, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
I could share it to my story wall for Z-Bytes, but not to Z-Bytes itself.
Really? That's weird. That's a strange thing to be.
But at least this should get to people somehow.
Hopefully.
Give us some company. We got 6 viewers.
Wow, really? 6 people tuning in. Well, I know, that's cool. I sometimes will get people on my Thursday show. So those of you guys who are tuning in, this is the informal just hangout that we do with our Ideal Comics crew. It's not a talk show. I had 3 people left. They're like, they're just yammering. Maybe I'm not interested. Yeah, it's not a normal talk show. We have topics. We're just gonna be talking projects and nerd stuff. Oh, hey, by the way, hang on a second. I got some stuff to show off, but I gotta. Did we freeze?
Where'd you go?
Well, yeah. I don't know. What happened? We are really locked up here. I just paused my camera. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
In your back.
Well, I paused my camera. My camera's delayed.
There, now it's caught up.
Oh man.
You're good now.
I'm getting a whole.
You're good.
I'm getting a whole thing here.
It's because you left.
Okay, let me try this again. Because you're froze on my screen too, but everything is like.
Interesting. I'm moving on my screen. So it's already.
Oh, are you? Well, man, I don't know. Technical difficulties, I guess.
Happens to the best of us.
I just paused the show or my camera because I want to film my crotch as I'm standing up. I'm clothed, but nobody wants to see that anyway.
No, it's not that kind of show. This is the program that I couldn't get to work last time you tried to share it with this one, huh?
Yeah, and
It's actually working.
and then you're on it now. I think we're out there. I don't know.
Well, it says we're on
If
air.
I'm not actually sub.
And we had some viewers coming and going, so I'm assuming we're there.
Yeah, this is great television, though. I'll tell you that.
Fantastic.
It's the best
This is the Chris show.
thing ever. Oh, I tell you what. So whatever.
Whatever the heck, we'll get this all figured out, and we'll have a good show. And that's loud. All right, we got some comments. Yo. Now comes my next trick. How do I learn? How do I chat back? It's a Facebook comment, or no, YouTube. Let's take a look.
I do have a lot of tabs open.
What's that?
I wonder what. That's weird. Well, I don't know. I think I might have just come back.
I see you. I hear you.
Well, I can see and hear me too, and it says I'm fine. Hey, oh, the metal is here.
Yeah, Metal's commented.
Yo.
There we go. How's it going?
Timothy.
Oh, doing good. How about you?
Oh, hey, Timotei. Timotei is a YouTube fellow that I know. He's a fun guy in the chat, so hopefully we can entertain him. I don't even know what just happened. My whole computer just went totally ant wacky for a second.
It was not happy.
It was not happy. It was not happy at all. But now things seem sort of normal, so I don't know.
My computer's not happy either. It doesn't work.
Oh, I see. So I wanted to show some of the stuff that I got in the post here.
Awesome.
I got Doug TenNaples gear.
Nice.
Published by Image, I believe. This is the colored version with new colors by Catherine Garner, who's also the colors for the current Earthworm Jim books. Fun stuff. Oh, Timotei says he just likes live streams. Well, they are exciting. So,
yes, technical difficulties and all. Great.
Then I also got.
That's what makes them exciting. You don't know if there's going to be technical difficulties or not.
There you go. That's the ticket. Way to put a positive spin on it. Anyway, I also got this box full of bubble wrap.
Awesome. I love bubble wrap. Can I pop it?
You can. And it is. So I'll tell you right now, I won a contest. But it's more of a raffle on a Twitter.
Nice.
The company publishing group, Wicked. They had a some sort of share this post with a hat tagline in it and get a bunch of stuff, and I got all of the stuff.
Hello, Kelly.
Hello, Kelly.
But wait, there's more. Jeez.
I'm not done yet. Now I'm done.
Nice.
A lot of things I recognize in that stack.
Yeah, some of them I already have, right? Movie Man, I picked that up on the original Indiegogo campaign. I bought the other edition of Sporkman Conventions, Jack Irons. I've got the like digitals of these. So I'm a big fan. So that was pretty cool.
No, Kelly.
Movie Man, I've got this one already. So I've read these ones. I picked this one up before or just before they signed. So it's got like the ultimate edition with the extra story stuff in it that isn't going to be reprinted, I guess. I don't have this guy, Wrath, by what's his name? Scott Kish. Looks really good. I got Barrels 1 a couple years ago, and I have Barrels 2, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah. That was fun. And then is this the end of the stream? No, this is the middle of the stream.
The beginning.
Then I also picked up, I had my buddy Hutch, who's going to be on my show on Thursday. He wrote this comic a few years back, Metro Med, the Hospital for Superheroes, and sent that along to me. I've got both things, and this Fanzine presents Job Wanted, which is a project from way back in the day. And so yeah, I've got that. He got sent those all the way from Minnesota.
Oh, for sure, you betcha. That's cool.
So I'm quite excited to dig into all of this stuff. So I've got reading material for days, literal days.
I got a Z-Bites comic today.
Yeah, that's true. I brought that over. I wanted to dig into those files a little bit, take a look at that while we're talking about stuff too. Oh, but before we did that, I wanted to screen share something I just got from Russ, which is what I was getting ready to share before the whole world went stupid on me.
Melted down.
Here it is.
That's cool.
Yep. And this is a trading card of a character, Mr. Hammond, who will be appearing in a comic that we'll be releasing in 2021 called I've Been to Hell. Nice. And yeah, I'm super stoked about that one. I'm gonna be coloring this thing up in the next few weeks. We'll probably share it onto the Patreon and stuff. So if you're on our Patreon, you get the first look at this when it's colored. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is gonna be for a trading card. We're gonna do a 9 trading card set. We've got cards by Peter Simeti. Come on, what's his name? He's one of the partners here. Barry Tetz has got some cards in there. I've got this one by Russ.
How did you get Barry?
Got a couple. I know he's a hard to get. A couple by Carl Toons, the amazing Carl Toons. Job Wanted is a good book. I was reading that in class. Oh, really? Crazy. Cool. I have not. I know a lot of the guys that were in it because I was one of the writers for Fanzine in its last year, but I had never picked up the book yet. So yeah, that's crazy. I'll have to tell. I will have to tell. Can't post messages. Okay, show. Oh, there it is. There it is. I'll have to tell Hutch when he's on a Thursday because that'll be fun. But yeah. Other than that, thing. So the other thing I want to talk about was, and let me load up the file. Talk about business. Actually, while we're doing that, what are you working on tonight, Metal?
Oh, I'm working on assets for a Final Fantasy tabletop role-playing campaign that I'm going to be streaming with a group of people every Saturday.
That's right, at 3:00 Eastern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Cross Comics?
Yeah.
You had mentioned it last week, and I went to check Rick's show out today because I hadn't been there forever, and I was kind of between things, and he was talking about it. Hey! Yeah. Speak of the devil.
Yeah, usually I'm on with him pretty much every weeknight. We were talking with Gary Shipman last night about Titan 2. So that was Yeah.
Yeah, I know Fly Fox, who couldn't make it tonight, Here he was talking last weekend. He did the big 200 subscriber stream over on his show, and they gave away a bunch of stuff, like 6 pieces of Gary Shipman art and like 2 books and like all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I tuned in for a little while I was running errands, but
I've
But
now
yeah.
subscribed to Cross Comics, so I can see that.
Yeah,
yeah,
Rick's a cool guy.
yeah, very, very fun. He's the kind of guy that they make fun of Canadians about because he's just that kind of nice.
Yeah.
He's just like that pastiche of Canadians. But he is like just really that nice.
Nice.
He's even barely Canadian too. He's like right next to the border.
Oh yeah,
We make fun of him about that all the time. He knows like 2 verses, not even 2 verses, 2 lines of his national anthem.
Ooh.
Oh Canada, oh Canada.
Oh Canada, our
We have a lot
home
of
and
fun on that.
native land,
Well,
true patriot's blood. I don't know the rest of the song. That's what I know.
Yeah, he
Well,
probably
no,
knows about as much as he does.
Yeah.
very
I
well.
don't know.
Yeah, it's fun. He has a whole slew of Canadian characters and stuff in his very Christian-centric comic book verse.
Yeah, we have I don't think we have any Canadian characters in the Ideal Comics universe at all.
We should fix that.
Well, one of the hero school is on an island between Michigan and Canada, like in Lake Michigan, and so one of them is. Oh, Cross says I know a little more of the song. Fair.
Well, one day I'll bully him into knowing his entire national anthem.
They got milk in bags in Canada. That's weird.
That's what Five Iron Friends told me anyway.
Yeah.
I know much more of that song, but they're basically local here, so but yeah.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of the lake, you could just have people coming over from both sides.
Yeah. That was the kind of the idea.
Yeah.
It's the Bill Everett Hero School, with what used to be the Target. The Edge goes there, and the Speedstress, and we've got one of the Forces stories that I just filled in to the Delio is set there, but it was written by a fellow named Kevin Carpenter way back in the day. And it isn't actually our like it was he'd created these characters, and he and Chris Lawton got to know each other online and got talking about it, and his universe was all like our universe. They decided, why don't we just mash them together, and so he brought his characters into the universe. Sound familiar, Chris? And eventually he was just like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I was like, okay. And he's like, I want to take my characters and do something different with them. And I said, okay, they're yours, but we've tied like tons of threads of our history into them. So we need to keep them too. What can we do? So we renamed a bunch of characters and I kept some of the civilian identities because he wasn't really attached to the civilian identities, and so it was kind of a whole thing. But it was pleasant. I mean, I
Kind of a split custody thing.
Yeah. Well, I lost track of the guy. You know, he just it's that was a long time ago. That was 2008, I think that all happened. So it's been 12 years, and wherever he is, I hope he's doing great. I've tried to find him to just hunt him down to say, hey. But he doesn't respond to the same email addresses anymore, and
Yeah, 12 years is an eternity on the internet.
it is. It really is. It really is. So 4 years is a long time on the internet. I was going back over emails. We're rebuilding some of the archives from our website, right? So I've been going back over some emails from the old days, looking at bits in here and there, and trying to fill in some history stuff and all this background stuff. And I found some stuff when I was working on the Panic at the Ren Fair that we just wrapped up, was part of a 3-story arc for our hero student Chad, right? And the second chapter crosses over with like 4 different webcomics, right? But some of these aren't published anymore. So like I got a hold of the creators and I was like, okay, so here's a gap in your story. Can I fill it in? And so the things were like, I had some really cool conversation with people, and they're like, man, I thought nobody cared about my comic anymore, and it's really cool that you're involved in it. And then, one guy like just shuttered his whole site, like in between times, like just after we finished publishing that second chapter, that was the crossover one, his whole site folded. So like mine has like the thing goes through, there's all of these links to particular strips so people can fill in and kind of get this huge big story there were these crossovers, how they fit, and you can't even get to it anymore.
The danger of crossovers.
Oh man, especially online. So yeah. You can still read. It's called Old School is that story. You can still read Old School and get the whole story, but you don't necessarily get all of the pieces of the story that lead up to why these characters are where they're at. So, because I decided he wasn't happy with it after, it was on the internet for like a dozen years or something, I guess. I don't know.
See, I think I would be paranoid of something like that happening, so I would archive their parts of the story and then try to get permission and just redraw the whole thing myself if it ever went down.
That's an idea.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you have them saved. Like, why wouldn't you if you were part of a crossover?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny my possession of somebody else's internet content. Because, property rights and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but yeah, so the other one is one of the other characters is the Cortland comic that Matt Johnson did. His stuff is still all up there, and I was just going through that because I reposted the interview I did with Matt back in 2014 and updated the links and a bunch of other stuff. And he's gone back to reposting new stuff. And I actually need to have him on next month. I want to do a series, or a roundtable on my Thursday show about localization in comics and people that have geographic aspects as an intrinsic part of their universe and how that fits. Because like Matt Johnson stuff is all like Omaha, Lincoln. I want to see if I can get a Tonic Mole, because his stuff's all very like Eastern High Plains, Kansas, Oklahoma, that kind of stuff. And see about doing that kind of thing. I don't know. And Rick's stuff's all Canadian. I don't know if I don't want to treat Canada like a monoglot, but
I have a lot of geocentrically located stuff in the Dallas area.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to have you on then. So talking about pros and cons of using real locations. Of course, Forces is we use a lot of geography in that, but there's also a lot of fictional stuff, right? So like several times characters have gone through Scotts Bluff, but nothing happens in Scotts Bluff per se, right? We insulate, and like the town the kids all live in Forces is in it's a town called Rural in Wisconsin, and it's right along Route 66, right? So that's not Route 66, the Highway 66 between.
It almost sounds like a joke that writes itself.
Oh, it was on purpose.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a story just so I could use that line. Put some bleachers out in the sun and have it not 66, 61, have it all out on Highway 61. And so it runs from like, I can't remember the name in Canada. I mean, the town in Minnesota. It's north of Minneapolis, St. Paul. I can't remember any towns in Minnesota other than that one right now. Well, Minot, Malacca, Princeton. None of them are the right ones. Anyway, so it doesn't.
North?
I don't
Are you
know.
talking about like Duluth?
Not quite that far north.
Leonard?
No,
It's a little south. I'm trying to think.
it doesn't matter. Let's move on. I'm sick of talking about
super
this.
important.
Let's just move on. This is a bad game. So
There's too many towns north of that area.
there's okay, since we're still talking about it. So Highway 61 revisited the Bob Dylan album, right?
Mhm.
It's called that because like the main highway out of the town that Bob Dylan grew up in was Highway 61. And Highway 61 runs east-west and then turns south and goes down basically parallel to the state line through Wisconsin, right? So it goes like east to west or west to east through into Wisconsin and then drops down toward Iowa, right? So
Yeah.
that's the part of the country where my kids from Forces live. And we were going to call them to have it somewhere totally random, unnamed place in Wisconsin when we first started the strip. But we had a story where I wanted to use that line from the song as a joke, because that's the kind of thing I think is funny. And so we ended up nailing down the geography of the town, which then later was called Rural, which we didn't want to name the town either, but I put a typo in something I was writing where I accidentally capitalized the R in rural. And somebody was like, rural, that's a great name for a little town. And I'm like, well, of course. I was always planning that.
Fictionally, it's a great name for a little town. It'd be a horrible name for a little town in real life because you'd be like, yeah, where do you live? Rural Wisconsin? That could be anywhere.
That could be, well, most of the state, not all of it. Yeah. You know, for example, Madison, not rural. Milwaukee is not rural.
Yeah. But you don't have to go too far from them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the name of what's that city where all that crap just happened.
Kenosha?
Kenosha, not rural.
Yeah.
Although in a lot of ways, and I didn't realize this at the time. I found this out with all of this stuff going on. Kenosha is basically a suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, it existed before. It was one of those things that's like Littleton that, didn't start out as a suburb of Denver, but it became one.
Yeah.
When Denver got big enough, it just subsumed Littleton.
Just swallowed it.
And actually, one of my buddies grew up in a little town called oh man, I can't remember the name of it. Brighton, Colorado. And Brighton was a weird place because it was a town just barely bigger than Scotts Bluff that was all by itself, right? So it was a legitimate city. It had factories, it had trains, all that kind of stuff, but it was all isolated. But it was only like 15, 20 minutes from the Metroplex. And so we met at college back at John Brown back in the day, and I would drive over to his place and hang out when we were on, because we both were in college in Arkansas, but we were from the Denver metro area. And so we were on break, we'd hang out, right? Because I didn't have any friends in Denver and I knew Dave. That was basically the way that went down. So I'd drive out to Brighton and we'd just hang out. And, but then 10 years later, Brighton's just part of Denver, just there's no break. All the farmland's been turned into metroplexes or what, into housing, tract housing.
It's turning around here.
Yeah.
I've actually had to explain to people, especially with a lot of the commotion going on, without getting into any political topic, but the one thing that kept going up was the crossing of state lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people thought that was a big deal over here because people don't realize as big of a difference as distances seem in other states, they seem like nothing once you start talking about distance in Texas. And that crossing state lines was 20 minutes. From where I am, spending 20 minutes, you're not even halfway through Dallas County.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything is a huge difference in Texas. Like, no, the distance is a lot smaller over there. You have to understand that, people.
Everything's bigger in Texas,
Not everything, but lots
including the
more.
distance.
A lot of things are.
Well, and it's actually it's sort of like that in Nebraska. Nebraska is not, of course, nearly as large a state as Texas, but we're very long, right?
Yeah.
So, like driving from here to the state capital is 6.5 hours. You know, so
Did that.
yeah. So for us, like going to Wyoming, that's a 20-minute drive, right? But getting to other parts of Nebraska, you got to commit to a day.
Well, what the sad part is, from where I am, it is only 3.5 hours to get to the state capital, but it's 6.5 hours to get to the state capital, because once you get into the city limits, then you're stuck in traffic forever.
Yeah. That's one of the things I do not miss about Denver, was the idea that, it's, sure, it's 15 miles. It's probably 20 miles across, but it's going to take, if you're driving, anytime between like 7 and 8, like 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., just expect on it taking, an hour to drive the 20-minute drive. If you're lucky.
Yeah. I know a lot of people around here, they complain about the Dallas traffic. It's like, have you ever tried going to Austin? Do you understand how easy we have it here?
Well, and like Dallas, I used to go to school with this cat back in my senior year who was from, and I was coming from Scotts Bluff, right? Mm-hmm. So I moved down to Denver my senior year, and it was a horrible decision. And because Denver is a crap hole. And I'm not afraid of saying that on the internet, frankly. Anyway,
I agree with you.
Point being, this cat was from Dallas, Fort Worth, and I was from Scotts Bluff. And I said, this is stupid how busy this is and how big it is and how congested it is, because, and how crazy all the drivers are. And this guy was just like, nothing of city life. I'm just like, what are you talking about? And he says Dallas is like 3 Denvers put together. I was like, oh God, I hate you all.
I've only been to San Antonio in Texas.
Yeah, this is why I live in a town that's like, it's not quite rural, but it's close enough. It's like on the lower end of what is considered a suburb. So it's like I get kind of the best of both worlds. What Rick says too. Texas is smaller than half of the provinces in Canada. Like half their provinces are bigger. They're huge.
Because there's only like 7 provinces, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's like nobody who lives there. So they don't have enough people to break into smaller provinces to make it work. Make sense.
But the problem is they're not just like tall, if you want to look at the map that way. They're also like wide. Some of them are close to squares when you actually project the map right. So even though there's like nobody living in the upper half, it still takes just as long to get across them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Canada's a big place for sure. So here's the little interesting thing to think about here, Rick, kind of context wise. When I was living in when I was going to school in Arkansas, which is in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, there were some of the cats that I went to school with who were from Orange County, California, and driving from Orange County to Siloam Springs, Arkansas was 24 nonstop hours. And so what these kids would do, we were all kids, right? But what these kids would do was they'd get like 3 or 4 drivers and rotate and like just only stop to hit the restroom, to grab food, to relieve yourself. That's it. Otherwise, it was just driving. And when you started passing out, you swap drivers. So 24 constant road hours, and it would be the trip from Orange County to Siloam. They did this every semester, like this group of like 12. Well, it was several kids that did that, but it was like, rotating groups of kids,
I'd actually did a trip like that recently. We went from here in Dallas County all the way up to Paris, Illinois.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we did it just nonstop both ways, basically. I think maybe collectively between stopping to eat, we might have not been driving for 3 hours total. The whole
so
way.
What were you headed to Paris, Illinois for, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'd pick up my mom.
Oh, okay.
She was having some troubles and stuff like that, so
okay.
Go all the way up there and then bring her back down. She's
going
back soon.
I was just thinking about Illinois. I was a guest on Critical Blast's Saturday show this week. They do this LCS guys every couple of weeks where they get a bunch of comic book store owners in to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And for some reason, RJ asked me to co-host. I don't own a comic shop, but I've spent a significant amount of money in them. So maybe that's what he was thinking. But it was fun. And like two of the guys are from Illinois. So they were talking about it. And I've never been to Illinois, but
You know roughly where Paris is, though.
oh yeah, you're roughly very, very.
That's what usually I tell people in the general Chicago area. But if somebody closer to the area, I'll just say Paris because they kind of know where it is.
Yeah, it's like west of Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking. So, but yeah, I've seen it I've seen stuff on maps. I like maps.
I like maps too. Maps are great.
So
I'm making maps right now.
yeah. I actually need to do some more map making for stuff, but I don't have the time right now. Because of course, in the Ideal Comics universe, we have 5 fictional cities. And so they have real world locations. So we've mapped out a couple of them as far as generalities of where they're at. So you could build the city if you wanted to.
Ooh.
But you shouldn't, because that'd be stupid. So
you say that.
So
I'm gonna build a city one day, just for fun.
Just for kicks.
Mhm.
Kicks, man, kicks. Okay. So hang on a second here.
Go east, that's about 8 hours.
What'd you say?
So to go east, it's about 8 hours cross set.
Oh yeah, to get from Ontario into, is it
What's this
Quebec
doing?
that's direct east from
I think so.
Ontario?
I want to say, yeah. Let me double
'Cause I
check.
think-
Yeah,
Oh, Kelly owns a comic shop, but it's closed down again because people don't listen. You have to wear a mask. Well, I
Stop
suppose that, Sweden might disagree with you, but we don't have to have a fight over it.
Just do curbside.
Oh, he
Curbside?
forgets to.
Actually, I think that's a really good model for some for businesses. I think that they don't necessarily get the same impulse shopping out of it.
Right.
But
At least
I think
your regulars will stay.
well, I mean, I think if you have a good website, right? If you maintain your or social media presence or something where people can still kind of browse, virtually browse and like, ooh, this looks interesting.
Right.
Oh, look what came in this week. You can even do like I did here, where you have videos and like, this is the new comic and this is the new comic.
You definitely on your site need a carousel that shuffles through like the latest stuff.
Yep.
You want to shove it in their face. You don't want to have to make them look for it.
That's true. Unless, speaking of which, though, I am going to go ahead and say that I'll type this in the chat here. If you go to idealcomics.net/shop,
Speaking of a store.
you actually can go ahead and buy or peruse our catalog of comics and song and music. So
Please do.
yeah. We don't have all of our stuff right now is digital. We are looking to move toward physical fulfillment in the next few weeks, months, something. But right now everything's available digitally, and it's super cheap. You can get a digital copy of our anthologies for $2 each. That's 64 black and white pages.
I need to set up payment processing on my site so I can at least sell digital stuff directly to people.
Yeah. It's actually WooCommerce is the platform we're using, and it was pretty easy to set up. It's pretty bare bones, but it does the digital fulfillment. I mean, it's tied into our PayPal, so it's pretty straightforward. I like it.
Yeah.
We just got to get people to actually, want to purchase the products, which actually
They want to.
they do want it. They just don't know they want it.
Yeah.
and that's not creepy to say it like that at all.
Yeah, Biff.
You know you want it. You know you want me to give it to you. Okay.
I'm gonna like it. If you don't like it, I'm gonna make you like it.
So here, just a second. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. Come on.
Don't break it.
Yeah, apparently I'm really threatening Will. We'll come on and promote comics at 10 Eastern time, Monday. Rick, I can do that. I think I can do that next week. I got to double check my schedule though, but I think it's free then. That'd be awesome.
Mondays
Definitely
we
wants to
do
do that.
Talking With, which is where people can talk about their Kickstarters or just their stuff in general.
Yeah.
That's why we had Gary on last time, or Rick did, and I just help him get through it.
Fair enough. So this here, you guys out there, internet land, are going to get a treat. This is the High Plains Minicon exclusive copy of Z-Bites issue 1. Chris has got a physical right there. We are going to have some physicals because we didn't sell out at the Minicon, which was a couple weekends ago. And so we are going to have a very limited number of physicals that are available for sale in our shop eventually. I think we're going to sell them for $5 with $5 shipping. So look at that. Yeah. But in any case, we're going to go through the book because the ticket with it is that Chris did not create this as part of our universe. He was doing his own thing out in the world, and I convinced him. I mind warped him into bringing him into our universe because it's such a fun stuff. But we're going to be taking some of the stuff and we're going to tweak it a little bit. We're going to change the formatting and look at relettering it. Because I'm picky.
But I think it'll look better. It's weird.
I think there's a couple of things that because of the formatting that the artist had it in, where it's a little squatty, which you guys will see. I think that made some of the lettering.
It's like a show.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Well, actually,
lettering is probably the thing I'm the most picky about.
Well, and lettering is tough.
Important.
Lettering is tough in its own. You know,
it's definitely important.
Yeah. So one of the things that we'll do, it's not really gonna. Hang on a second. I'm gonna try to change my window format so we can really see where that sits. I mean, you saw with the borders live right where it is with that thing that I got you.
Yeah.
It's not gonna let me get any smaller than that. But you see, this is a full bleed cover, and so you can kind of see where the edges are, and they're just a little short in there. Actually, I'm gonna maximize that. There we go. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about too, Chris, because there's a couple of different ways of going about the whole process, right? I mean, not just in terms of lettering. Obviously, we just white out what's there and then letter over top of it, and that's not tough,
right?
But the tough part is that if we're stretching the image, I mean, that we want it to fit the ratios of the page a little different. There's a couple of ways going about doing that, and one of them is to add extra space between panels,
right?
And the other is, and some of them we'll look at here. It'll be kind of tricky, because you've got the backgrounds to fit in there too.
Right.
This is the art on here. Benjamin Solaro's art is dynamite on this book, and it's a zombie action comedy, and so it's the story's just going, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have this as part of our universe now. Kelly, and I think Rick might know this, but I haven't seen Kelly around before, but all of the stuff that we publish right now is in a single continuity as part of a history. And eventually we'll have timelines that everybody else can look at, but for right now it's just for me. I mean, just for the team to know what goes on behind the scenes.
I had a timeline for my stuff once, but I took it down because while it's still accurate, it was way too simplistic, and I don't want people looking at it.
Fair enough. I would rather have the published stuff, be stuff that is, I mean, like that anybody can look at and be a little simplistic, because then like they can fill it in as they go, you know?
Yeah, it's simplistic because it's not a set timeline. It's more of like a flow chart, kind of.
Oh yeah.
Like there's compression in between certain events and everything, just so you know like the order in which things happened. And it's
Right,
just
I
like,
got you.
I don't like it. I'm going to take it down.
I got you. So anyway, one of the things, like I said, like this panel would be really easy to do because you just like break up. You've got row 1, row 2, row 3, and we just spread those out a little bit, and then broaden out the top and bottom margin, and that'll fill in the ratio really easily, right? That's pretty straightforward. But you get down to here, right, where you've got the hoop for the second bubble there, where Leopold's talking. If we don't add a bottom thing on that and we spread those panels out a little, it's going to look really awkward. So we'll have to go in there and tweak that balloon to be full round, because it doesn't look bad cut here, but once you have that space there, it starts to look kind of deformed.
Okay.
I mean, as far as where your eye flows. The one other thing about Ben's lettering that I wasn't super keen on is like how many different sizes it uses through the book.
Yeah, there's lots of different ones. It's crazy.
There's lots of different sizes. I don't just mean the page ratio, but I mean in terms of the lettering, where sometimes the lettering is really huge and sometimes it's really small.
I noticed that.
And you can have a couple of those for emphasis, but if it's too much, it kind of gets a little herky jerky on the eyes.
Well,
that's one thing.
Emphasis too,
I mean,
because
just on this
if
page,
you have
can
a
see different sizes.
yeah, if you have a stable lettering size, then when you do see a different one, you know it's emphasis. But if it's all inconsistent, you don't know what's supposed to be emphasized or not.
Now, I had been looking, and I'll share something else here when I get a little farther along. But one of the things that is like all of the blank space has something in it, right? Which also looks just great. But even like the gutters and stuff, they've got patterning and coloring. And that was kind of concerning me as far as modifying it. But I was able to use a clone brush. Because remember that earlier this week, Chris, or maybe it was last weekend. It was last weekend. Our friend Doug Garrett, who's a semi-regular on my Thursday show, he was coming along and was asking anybody if they had some horror art to use for he's doing some Misfit style songs for Halloween. And I said, Chris, let's can we share? And Chris said, yeah. So I took this panel here. So panel 4 on the page. I don't know this character's name, the zookeeper. Veronica, thank you. And Leopold. That's the zombie without the head. And I took that and turned it into an album cover, and I will show that later. Because I think it turned out really, really well. But I was able to clone the elements from that into the thing. So I think we'll be able to do that as we lay the book out, just to change those ratios. Yeah, this is the lettering is really huge, and I think that it would actually be better if it was smaller, even inside those balloons, just a little bit. I think that would make it'd help the reading ease a little bit, believe it or not. So, hey, look at that.
That's my first ad.
Yeah. So yeah. Where was? What?
So that store helped out a lot doing that ad.
Yeah.
Seems every so often you turn into the air compressor in the back of a refrigerator.
Me?
Yeah.
Where like my voice is going off or what?
Yeah. It's like only for maybe a second at a time. It's just really weird.
Huh. I do have a fan going off over to the side here. I wonder if that's what it is. If it my volume changes enough to do that. So, but yeah, okay. So this one here, and like I said, this is one of these that I think will change the format on it. And also with the I can't remember the other kid's name, Logan. His little speech story here. We changed we dropped the size of the lettering just a scotch and the shape of the word balloon, and I think it'll read a little better.
Okay.
So that's kind of some of the stuff I was talking about with that one.
There's a lot.
But that's one of these. Yeah, because there's a lot of talking going on there. But the one thing that's kind of awkward too is that some of Ben's art he decided to cover up, to put the words in there, which is okay, but it does mean that we don't have the option of what's under there because we don't have his raw stuff, right? This is what we have.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just have to play with some of that stuff. And once again, this is a situation here where, like if we spread these apart, we're going to have to fake what's back here.
Right.
Right. Which is, I mean, I'll show you some stuff here in a second why I feel pretty confident with that. This is another example of where the lettering, because he has one shape of thought balloon, and we will just have to tweak that to fit the words in here better. Although I tell you what, this balloon right here, aside from it not quite fitting the lettering, aside from not quite fitting the balloon right, I think this flow on this panel, on this balloon here is great. On the lower one here, that really kind of leads it along there. So I want to preserve that format as much as we can when we do that.
Yeah, you just have to fix the lettering itself.
Yeah, just got to fix the lettering itself.
Right.
Because the way he has it laid out, and even like that pop with alive, that's really dynamic on that page.
It could be a little bit smaller, which would help you fit the other words in there. But yeah, you definitely want it bigger than everything else.
Yeah. So this page is this one. This is one of these ones I was talking about, Chris. That'll be a little bit tougher because so much of these balloons are across the panel gutters.
Right.
But it won't be impossible. It's just something, it just takes time. But yeah. Super simple. Hey, look.
Good jobs.
Yeah. Available now on idealcomics.net.
Get it while it's hot.
Yeah, get it while it's hot, and it'll be hot forever because it's we keep it under a heating light, just like the fries at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So
very authentic.
I thought it's because it was digital, and that's just circuits and electricity, which is always hot.
Don't ruin the magic.
I mean, if you've ever been shocked by electricity before, it's pretty magical. Not necessarily the good way, but
I have indeed. And then the other thing is that the backup feature story, The Adventures of Richard, which this one, formatting this page was the most difficult thing I did with putting together this version of it, because the way it was laid out didn't really want to change, because it was a landscape, and I had to make it a what do you call it? Portrait style. Yeah. And but I think it turned out okay. It's
a shocking experience. I'm surprised Rick is still in chat since his show starts in like a minute.
Joe dropped at his comic store.
Oh, that's cool. 10 of those comic books.
So
it's awesome.
So anyway, so with this one, with the backup feature, we'll just have to. I mean, like that's actually this page is they're actually different ratios than some of the other pages.
Okay.
And it's not hard to fix. It's just a matter of making it happen. And there's the back cover. So, but I wanted to kind of talk over with you about because it's your property, about if you thought the idea I was talking about with adding spaces between the borders and all that kind of stuff fit in with your overall vision for it. I mean, I know like, most of that was Ben's stuff. Oh, Cross has got to go. So talk to you later, Rick. I will direct message you about Monday. So.
Yep, just as I was saying too. It goes live.
Yep, just as you were saying. It. But yeah, see where did? Oh, okay, hang on a second. I forgot what I was gonna do.
The album cover.
The album cover. That's right. I want to show you this one here. So you guys saw what I did with the first part of it, and so then let me change. I'm going to share screen and the application window and the photos and share. Okay. Spotlight. There we go. So if you guys remember, it stopped right here, right? And so what I ended up doing is using some deform tools and widening the panel border on this side to match the height of it. And then I copied everything that was over here to the panel border and moved it over here to make it square, right? Then I used clone tools to kind of fill in the gap and to nudge it a little here and there to make it match. And you can kind of see where there's some repeated
I can see it.
Elements that are in there that if I would have taken longer to match it in, I would have, cut some of that out. But I also knew that the end game of it was in the words. And so that would cover up that. And that's the name of the thing that he was working on there. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of, man. As we kind of look at some of that in there using the textures he's already applied, which I think are actually special effects, like using a filter over pencils, is I think actually how he achieved a lot of that is by using because they look kind of like eraser marks on graphite. And so I kind of got the feeling that he soft penciled it and then inked it and then erased it and scanned it in and then ran some filters on it to give it that look, which I love. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, so I think that we can do some of that stuff with it to really kind of fill in some of those gaps. And so when we do the relettering, it's not going to look awkward. I don't think it'll look awkward at all.
Right.
To kind of do that thing. So, but I know I ended up doing that with some of the pages that we had. And if I'd had them, I don't want to bother hunting them down today because they're not in the same folder. So it's not like I can just scroll through them. But when we went through the second edition of Zing 2 and we reformatted all the pages to fit because Barry had gotten the wrong ratios on his pages. He was doing them like 8x10. And I'm like, that's not tall enough or wide enough or it's too wide and also not tall enough. So it's way closer to square than we want it. And I went through and actually I had to like redraw buildings that got cut out because of the format. And you actually can't tell. So I don't know. I just put I don't want to just like take over and be like, this is what we're doing, Chris.
Right. I wouldn't let you.
Because it's not my baby.
I wouldn't let you do that.
What?
I wouldn't let you.
Well, I appreciate that.
You don't tell me how to parent.
I appreciate
My baby.
But yeah, if you think that works, then as we go through that, then we'll go ahead and do that. And any too, any changes, obviously I'm going to send you through the file so you can check them out and over before we do anything.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about as far as ZByte stuff.
Thanks. Thanks for the screen time.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. And so those of you guys who are in the chat are interested, the physical copies of ZBytes are going to be available there on the Ideal Comics shop for order to your door. Hey, Russ just got here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Russ, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
I am doing okay. I'm doing okay. It's, believe it or not, it's been a very long day for me, but
Oh, I believe it.
it's not as long as it was going to be. But I expected to drive to Oshkosh today, and my trip got canceled.
Oh my.
I don't mind. For those of you who aren't in Western Nebraska, which is everybody except Chris, Oshkosh is about an hour and a half drive
Yeah.
from the edge of Scotts Bluff.
Unless he was
right?
driving on Sunday.
Yeah, well, it's a shorter drive than you drove on Sunday. Yes, Chris, everybody knows you were in Omaha, blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
Omaha? Why would you want to go to Omaha?
Family.
Omaha's not a bad place to be.
I like Lincoln better.
You know, it's somewhere in middle America. Get to the heart of matters. It's the heart that matters most. Okay. Enough County Crows jokes. Although, since we're talking about it, I'm going to look something else. But yeah. So thought I was going to go to Oshkosh today, but my trip ended up getting canceled kind of last minute. And so that was a thing. But hang on just a second here. But it was still long. It was still a longer day than I wanted it to be. So there we go. And we'll feature that. So this is a little comic that I drew a number of years back when my buddy Chris Lawton, co-founder of the company, moved to Omaha. And there you have it. So this was a fill-in page for Forces because he was supposed to be getting me art and he was busy settling into school. So, but anyhow, seriously, the last Counting Crows joke. So, Russ, what you been up to?
Say again?
I said, what have you been up to, man?
Oh man, I've been been burning the candle. This time of year, most of my students are trying to get their dissertations in for review before the Thanksgiving and Christmas breaks. So
right.
I've been pretty swamped, but I've been excited about finally getting to the inks again. So I don't know if you
dude, I showed off.
Yeah,
I showed off the thing earlier, and man, that looks so good.
Oh, thank you,
dude. I am seriously excited to throw some colors on that puppy.
Yes.
So
I know I didn't leave a lot of white space to color, but I'm sure it'll look.
Well,
great.
yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine because it's all about that evocative moment. So I'm really stoked about it.
Very good.
So Mr. Hammond, and I mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to mention Mr. Hammond is, and I'm going to just try to share that on the screen here. Let's see. Go to my screen share. I got to pick a different window. This one here. Boom. And feature. Mr. Hammond will be one of the main characters in I've Been to Hell, a Forces of Good and Evil spring break story. They'll feature Chad and Greg and Demon Priest as they go visit Demon Priest's grandfather in hell. And dude, I'm not even kidding about how excited I am about that. It's going to be some legit good stuff.
I think that'll be a great story, man.
Oh man. I'm so excited for it. And I've got the first 4 pages of art back from the inker. Who is my son Taliesin, but it is Dynamite. Actually, if any of you guys on Facebook ever check out Taliesin Reese's page, he's been doing comics for Inktober. They're so much fun. Even the jokes I don't get are still really good. Because he's like really into the in jokes. That's his whole thing. So makes
Very-
obscure pop culture references, and he's like, I don't know, guy's a funny kid, but yeah. So I'm very excited for this story. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about specifically. Oh, hey, you messaged me and I missed it earlier. Oh, there you say you're here.
Yeah. Yeah, just giving you a heads up.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So Russ is in addition, so you guys know, in addition to, because we'll make a little announcement here, in addition to working on this trading card for our 9-card set, he's also inking a story that Rolf did the pencils on years ago. Rolf Gardeau, who did the pencils for I've Been to Hell, and also is the main artist for Forces for the last several years. Rolf and I worked on a script that I had written 6 years ago, I think it was, which was intended to be the introduction to a story called The Strange Wanderings of Gilboy Henderson. And it is a 1950s era superhero saga involving the grown sidekick of our Golden Age hero, the Golden Rapid. The Golden Rapid is from space. He's an alien he's an aquatic planet in the constellation Aquarius. And he came to Earth to be a messenger of peace. And he winds himself up at the beginning of World War II. And all sorts of superhero adventures later. It's a decade. And in 1950, Christmas, he intercepts a message from Aquarius that there's some great trouble and they calling him home. So he gets in his rocket ship and off to the stars with him. And his sidekick, Gilboy, is left behind to mind the shop. And what seems to be a normal run-of-the-mill superhero adventure ends up intersecting with dark gods and sea monsters and volcanoes and underwater civilizations and all kinds of stuff. And the very first adventure is sitting in Russ's house waiting for inks.
Yeah. I was just going through all of the pencils again today. I had skimmed them earlier, but this time I was looking at them, with an inker's eye, and I'm excited to get cracking on them.
I have to be completely honest. Issue 2 isn't written yet, so so there's not a rush at all.
Very good.
So it's actually several projects back, but as far as I wanted to go over some of the questions, I was going to email you about them, message you about them, but I thought let's just do it live.
Sure. Yeah.
There are 2 people watching; they can find out the secrets.
Yes.
Because this is a project I'm hoping that we can get ready for people looking third quarter 2021. We'll see how that works on there. That's not a promise. That's just, I think, projection based upon things that I'm guessing. We'll see though. Fall, Halloween, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? So let me go ahead and look at the questions and we'll go through them here. So one thing you said, idea about the vibe. I want something that's very Golden Age, right?
Yeah.
I want something that feels like a 1950s adventure kind of thing. So, Rolf's natural style is sort of this garage band Archie kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lot of those early Silver Age influences because he started reading comics just before the Marvel Age began, right?
Oh yeah.
And we've interviewed him on our channel a couple times, just having him to talk about stuff. But like he started reading just before like Amazing Spider-Man, like 4 or whatever it was.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Not Amazing Spider-Man, before just before what's it called? Amazing Fantasy. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Amazing Fantasy 4 or whatever it was. So he kind of got in on the ground level of that kind of stuff. So some of that, early Buscema, rushed Buscema stuff.
Yeah.
Steve Ditko stuff was very formative in his style. Plus, he loved a lot of the the silly stuff, the Little Lulu and Herbie, I can't remember what the thing is, the magic giant with the lollipop thing. I can't remember his thing now, but a bunch of those little dot those Harvey comics.
Yeah.
So those kind of fold into how the stuff looks, and I think that his stuff would be really great for that kind of thing. So and I think with some of those Golden Age sensibilities kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to color it into the coloring. Probably going to be kind of colors. And I might try to do something kind of like cell shading and then run the colors through an age filter so it looks like color seps.
Yeah.
But we'll see if I get that fancy with it. Of course, if we make enough money, I might hire a colorist who could do a really good job too.
All right.
So we'll see how that goes. Because right now, my plan is to see about, since it's kind of down the road, once we get the Solo Voce that Barry is working on, the Expositioner story, finished and fulfilled, ready to fulfill it, we're going to go ahead and run a Kickstarter on it. And then the amount of money that doesn't go back to Barry for the art, I'm going to go ahead and take and use as kind of a nest egg to add some perks onto the I've Been to Hell campaign. And then Rolf and Holly will get their cut out of that. And then anything we make extra will go into adding and making this better. So that's kind of so I'm hoping even on one before the talent is 500. So for a small print run for what we're at. So if once you make 500, you've pretty much paid for everything except the art and stuff. And so that's kind of how we'll kind of take a look at it from there.
Yeah.
So okay. So we don't want to as far as like, okay, that's the any lookalikes I have in mind for the principal characters. No, not really. I think, did I send you digitals of the character designs we had for Gil that Barry drew up?
I'm not sure.
I will make sure I get those to you because I've got them somewhere.
Perfect.
So
yeah.
Actually, let me, while we're here.
Yeah. After your after your initial response earlier today, saying you wanted a Golden Age vibe, I was pretty excited about that. I was immediately, looking up some Sheldon Molduff stuff and Jerry Robinson and Dick Sprang from, the 40s and 50s. I was especially looking at some Golden Age Aquaman stories to get a feel for how they were doing the undersea scenes, and it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
And like Aquaman is a huge thing of mine. Bill Everett's The Fin that he did for Quality after he left, because he was at a Timely and did Namor, and then he went off to join the military, and he came back and did The Fin for Quality. I love Everett's stuff. It's just magical. I don't know if you've looked into his stuff, but
I know the name, but I'll have to. Yeah, I'll look up his stuff as well.
Yeah, Bill Everett created Namor, the Submariner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Back when Marvel was Timely.
Yeah. And like I said, and I think he also created The Fin. I think it was for Quality too. It's good stuff. He's got a real eye for it. I loved it. Where did that go?
I think that was those were the main questions. The
Wizard. That was one of the ones
the Pirate
on there
Wizard.
was talking about.
He kind of looks, in some of the pencils, he looks like he could be undead. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's not supposed to. Right.
Not okay.
Yeah, he's just supposed to be ancient, like super old.
Gotcha.
Like so this is Davy Jones, the water wizard, right?
Yes.
And Davy Jones is like originally from like the 1500s, like late 1500s, early 1600s, that whole golden age of piracy thing.
Yeah.
He's aged. I mean, he's virtually immortal because he's like a magic being at this point.
Right.
But he's still like time has still had a weight on him. So you get the I want his garb to be kind of threadbare.
I gotcha. Yeah.
I want him to look like a wet rat in some ways, because he's waterlogged, right? So he's a sailor. He used to be a sailor. He lives at the bottom of the ocean. And he's kind of Merlin-y in his demeanor.
Okay.
So talks to a lot he speaks in riddles, kind of a thing. Has his own view about stuff, and I'm afraid, because I'm not finding the files. I'm afraid I might not have scanned in the character designs for that. I have them in my art bag, so I will have to fish them out and get them to you, because it's looking like I didn't scan them in. Like maybe we just were passing the original papers around. Because that's a horrible idea, but I'm not finding it in the
right. Yeah, I'll take a look on Messenger and see if that was something you ever had. Double check on my end.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you.
Okay.
You said that you were going to be adding in the. Oh no! I do have those character roughs. Yeah. Yeah, I got.
Okay.
Well,
I wonder where they came from, because I can't find them here.
You have a copy. But
well, I mean, I've got the originals in the art bag.
Adding in the letters yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want me to leave boxes and word bubbles in place, or just do art?
No, I can do
the entire thing, and then you'll add those in, or how you want to do that?
Well, just leave headspace where you think they'll fit in. Because I can. I mean, with I bought the Clip Studio for paint for doing lettering in, because it's just like a dynamic lettering tool. I actually bought it. I bought it on sale, but I bought it to do lettering. I was not at any Trump rally today. So there's Tim Lim in the chat. I was not at any, at least I think it's Tim Lim. It could be Mark Pellegrini. You never know. Those bunny guys share an account on.
I can never know who's running the Bunderdome when they hop in chat.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
For all I know, they could have just went to the same place and could be monitoring the keyboard together.
That's true. That's true. Like Mark runs the left hand and Tim runs the right hand, and they're like, "This will be great."
Yeah, they're just that in sync now from working together that they can type sentences together in chat.
That's why they get done with everything so quick. I mean, they're looking to have 5 books. Is it 5 this year? Because they did the Mandalorian, Common America 1, Common America 2, Black Ops 3. I guess maybe just the 4. So,
for all we know, they'll just sneak out another one in December.
Yeah, who knows? It's just like, hey guys. Well, and they both helped with editing the next Soul Finder, so I guess you could probably count that on the list. It's crazy. Those guys are insane. I wish I had their ability to crank it out, man. Makes me seriously jealous.
I discovered just now that when I'm looking at my Facebook Messenger and I have this running in the background, that I cannot hear anything. So I didn't catch your full response about the lettering.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's one of those things. Like I said, Clip Studio it's just it's a great tool for it. It's the way of using bubbles is super smart. So like it can layer bubbles as a single element. So you can do all sorts of stuff with it. the tails are fun. So
where the bubbles and boxes currently are, I'll just, when I do my inks, I'll just ignore that those are there, and you can place the bubbles wherever organically makes sense to you. Then okay.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's a thing, like the only thing to think about is like, did I get you the script on that as well?
No.
Okay, I'll make sure I send that over to you so you can go ahead and like think about leaving Headspace.
Yeah.
So, because I thought I already sent that to you, but that's on me. That way you know kind of what people are saying.
Right.
And of course, some of those things are going to get trimmed out when I do the lettering too, because I always, edit and make it more concise when words actually get to the page.
Oh yeah,
which is part of why I like lettering myself, or having whatever editor partner I've got on it. But nobody else is stepping up to do the editing right now, so it's just me.
Gotcha. But I mean, who better?
Well, I'm sure there are people that know the English language better than me, but unfortunately, they don't work for me for free. So that's the trade-off. So actually, it's really interesting. Tim saying that Trump was in Omaha today. My buddy Matt Johnson is a campaign rally junkie. Junkie is probably not the right word, but he actually goes to rallies as a hobby, and he makes it a point to get a picture of himself with candidates, especially when they're in the primaries, where it's really easy to talk to people. So he's got he met Rand Paul, and he met Marco Rubio, and he met Bernie Sanders, and he met whatever, because like Council Bluffs and Omaha are just like they're part of a single metro area, and he lives in South Omaha. So he's got all these photos on his Facebook page of famous people he met. I mean, these politicians that are just like, and of course they're there to press flesh with your rednecks, because Iowa was such a big deal in the primaries. So so that's I would bet money that my buddy Matt was probably at that rally. So I'll have to give him a little crap about it. Matt's also kind of he's a fun guy. He does to tie this into the first hour, Chris, and I think you were here when we were talking about metal, but he does he did the comic Cortland, and he does a comic called Out at 5 that are web comics, and that we crossed over with his story Cortland in not the most recent Forces chapter, but the one before that, where his character Cortland was a major supporting character in the story.
Oh, very
you
cool.
You could even call him a co-star. But yeah, so it's been a day, man. So yeah, I'm excited to see where we get with that. And of course, as we've mentioned before there, Russ, we have no deadlines but our own, because that's just how we roll.
Man,
my thing is
if I had a deadline.
Right. I'd probably do better if I had a deadline. But my thing is, any of the stuff that I'm involved in, if I'm not in and I think I mentioned this before, if I'm not in the mood to do it, I can still do it, but to me at least, it's going to look like crap. So it's finding that muse and making sure it's present, when I have the work in front of me. And it was hitting today, so that's why I see all the questions, and I'm eager to get cracking on it now.
Yeah, and for me, for part of the thing I'm at, I have so many projects going on at any given time that like I'm always in the mood to do something.
Right.
Although I got to tell you, man, guys, this is unrelated, but like this weekend, I made my family watch one of the most horrible, wonderful movies I've ever seen. So, are you guys aware of The Asylum, the movie house?
Yes.
Yeah.
The wife
I wish
and
I wasn't, but I am.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I wasn't, but I am.
Oh my god! The other day, the wife and I were we had a going to get groceries date or whatever you want to call it, and we went out to the dollar store, and they had an Asylum movie, and I'd not heard of these people before, like directly. I mean, like I've heard of Sharknado. I didn't realize that was a particular thing. So I went we found this thing called the Sinister Squad, which obviously is a take on the Suicide Squad, which was one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And I was anxious for the opportunity to rip on Suicide Squad. And so I put down the $3 on the barrelhead and brought home the Sinister Squad just to see what it was like, to see how terrible, because it couldn't be any worse than Suicide Squad. Lo and behold, not only was it not worse than Suicide Squad, I would argue it was markedly better than Suicide Squad. But I hadn't seen Suicide Squad since I saw it in the theater with Barry when it first came out. Because Barry drugged me to see Suicide Squad. I'm like, it's going to be crap. And he's like, why do you say that? I said, because Batman vs. Superman was crap. This isn't going to be any better than crap. And Barry's
I agree with his logic there.
Barry says, you're being unfair. Batman v Superman was better than you're saying it is.
No, it wasn't. I agree with you.
It wasn't. He's like, but you gotta go with me, man. No one else is gonna go with me. And I said, okay, we'll go on a Tuesday when we're only gonna pay $5. And he's like, deal. So we went, and I put down my $5, and I said that was exactly worth $5 because I hated it. I hated that movie so much, and I won't want to go into all of that here because I'm going to write an article for the website. I'm going to do a movie review. So I went back and I watched Sinister Squad, and it's everything you'd expect a C-grade movie to be, but it's still a better picture than Suicide Squad, I think, when you stack up points A, B, and C, right? Which I will make my case for in my article. Anyway,
Well, it's not like the bar was especially high in the first place.
This is true. So anyway, so I'm talking about it, and my wife, she's like, she didn't care. She didn't have any interest in seeing Suicide Squad, but she's like, "Are you sure you're being reasonable?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe we should just rent. Maybe we should just rent Suicide Squad to find out what it is." So I went to the Red Box. I checked it out, and my son Taliesin, who loves terrible movies, he's like, we're going to do an experiment. So the three of us, my oldest son, Donovan, has too much pride to watch Suicide Squad, so he wouldn't watch it.
Wow.
He's like, I have no interest in seeing anything remotely like this. Because but we went and watched both movies this weekend. And sure enough, my memory was not mistaken. Suicide Squad was better acted, right? But in every way you'd expect, except from, okay, you've got a main studio movie has X quality, right? Because even Star Wars Episode 2, which was a trash fire, looks really good because, 20th Century Fox,
money.
Lucas,
Yeah.
the money and the time, right? So making a movie, anybody who's got the money can make that movie, right? And that's like thing Mike Nelson has said that like the worst movie in the history of movies is the Attack of the Clones, because they had the money to do better and they didn't. It wasn't that there aren't objectively worse movies. It's that the fact that like, really, this is what you're doing with millions of dollars. You should be ashamed. So when you take out the budgetary issues and the time issues and the talent pool issues of the actors, and everything else, I absolutely believe 100% that Sinister Squad is an objectively better movie than Suicide Squad in every way that matters. And I'm writing a review about it, and I haven't written a review. I've been doing ad hoc comic reviews on my YouTube channel, but I have not actually written down review in a couple of years. So maybe this will break my dry spell on that. I don't know.
Well, you've piqued my curiosity now. I'm going to have to see if Sinister Squad is on any of my streaming stuff. So
well, and the funny I think it's on Netflix.
Okay.
I think I read that somewhere. The funny thing is, like, I didn't know this when I got the thing. It's actually part of a trilogy of films that Asylum has put together. And the first
Wow.
is and they are, because here's the premise. Okay. In the world of fairy tale, right? Rumpelstiltskin has stolen a magic mirror, which is a portal between worlds, and broken it, creating a rift between the world of fairy tales and our world. And so the fairy tale creatures end up in our world and end up being superheroes or villains because of their magical abilities. And so
Wow.
so the first movie is called Avengers Grimm, and then
Wow.
Sinister Squad, and in Sinister Squad, Alice, who's from our world and has been driven mad by her time in Wonderland, forms a secret like agency called Looking Glass, who's tasked at hunting down the monsters from fairy tales and capturing them. And
Wow.
amongst the monsters that she has to face in Sinister Squad is Death himself, who actually is the mover and shaker behind Rumpelstiltskin's scheme, right? Then it's followed by the sequel to that, which is called Avengers Grimm Time War, where all sorts of things come up. And I haven't seen 1 and 3, but I was just like,
Oh my.
it's obvious. I mean, like it's naked. It's with the whole thing, but at
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
time, like they're taking these premises and running with it. And I've got to appreciate somebody willing to just do that. So
Right. No, right. I mean, it reminds me of I just hear talk about it. Obviously, I've not seen them, but it reminds me of kind of like, you know, all the parody movies like, you know, Hot
Mhm.
Shots and escape me, but they did one that had you know, various superhero elements in it, and then, yeah, that's that's what I'm sure.
yeah, it borders the line between like parody and sincerity. Because it's like some things are super campy and over the top, but at the same time, the like the way they lay the stakes out, it's not like, if you assume the premise, right,
Sure.
that fairy tale characters have become, you know, metahuman heroes in our world. Well, then if you let yourself buy that premise, well, suddenly a lot of things start to make sense. You know, a lot of things in that world, the things that you're just like, okay, if you allow yourself the premise, suddenly it's like, is that really that far-fetched? Maybe not. You know?
And people, you know, the kind of shows we watched as kids, you know, Buck Rogers and, you know, Batman with Adam West and Legends of the Superheroes, The Rose and the Challenge. So, I mean, if you could live through those, I would imagine that this trilogy you're talking about is not half bad.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, it also, like, you know, like, say, like one of the things Metal said, it's not like the bar was super low, right? Or super high with Suicide Squad. It was an objectively terrible movie. But I'll tell you one thing that Sinister Squad does much better is that the villains, and they have Bluebeard, and there's a like a generic witch character, and the big bad wolf. They're legitimately like creepy, like unsettlingly creepy, the whole movie. Whereas the villains in Suicide Squad, they're not. They're like like your edgy boy, you know, friend from high school who like just likes to drop F-bombs to make people feel uncomfortable. I mean, that's the level of villainy that Suicide Squad brings you. and that's maybe I'm being ingracious, but I didn't care for that movie at all, and like, but like there's in the Sinister Squad, there's heel turns, there's betrayals. You don't, the there's a moment where it looks like there's no way they can pull out a happy ending, and or like any kind of like the bad guys are just going to win. There's no doubt in that. And like I didn't think there was anything like that in Suicide Squad. It was just like, it wasn't anything that a team of heroes couldn't have done. It didn't match up with Ostrander's, vision for the series. It was just, and this doesn't have some of that same baggage because, like, you're inventing a fairy tale world, so you can kind of do whatever you want with it. But even the rationale for why, like, like Goldilocks is like a brawler, like she's kind of like the stereotypical tough girl kind of thing, but she was raised by bears, so it sort of makes sense.
Wow.
The power scale are directly to bears.
Wow.
So it suddenly makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to write that up this week and get it up probably Friday or Saturday on the website. So it's I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy for it. And then do a side by side review. So
Wow.
The other thing that I wanted to share with everybody that I have been working on, let me see if I got not yet. No, not that one. This one. I have been going through and colorizing the forces, and because the first 600 pages are all black and white, roughly speaking, not quite 600. I think it's the first 500 pages are all black and white, because we didn't have any of the skills or talent or time to do that, and our plan right now is to go through once it's done and or not necessarily once it's all done, but once several storylines are done, start putting them up on Webtoons, try to see if we can get some new audience with the stuff.
Great.
And so I'm going through and coloring the book, or the stories. I got the first 2.5 stories done. And I'm just doing pretty basic flat colors, mostly some gradients for a couple of backgrounds, kind of make things pop a little, but mostly just flat colors with it.
That's very cool.
And I'm pretty tickled with how it's turning out. And I think the colors hide some of Chris and my crappy art from the old days. And I've had to do a couple of edits of the art. Just like, oh, this is couple of places. What did you just turn into, Reformed Turtle? Well, I'll tell you what it is. This is the what we call the Icy Jam. It's just to take time for us to talk about the comics we make and all that kind of stuff. And you're on the Matriarch channel over here, and on Thursdays I interview comics people and have kind of interview show. So that's the kind of thing there. But no. So anyway, so yeah, because this is also simulcasting on my Twitch, which I forgot. So that's something. But yeah, so that's what I've been about this week. Lots of stuff. So it's almost 9.
It is.
So we've talked Z-Bytes, Chris, which I'm excited for. That's going to turn out. But I will tell you, perfectly honest, and I hope you don't hate me for it, I'm probably not going to get much done until after the new year.
Definitely. I hate you. No,
So
it's not a big deal.
So
hey Chris, when I hopped on, I saw some illustrations. A headless guy was that your Z-Byte stuff? Because I just caught the tail end of that.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Did you do the illustration?
No, I wish.
I was gonna say it looks very cool, man.
Yeah, that's the cover of the exclusive one that just happened.
Ah, very nice, very nice.
Yeah, I can't do that kind of art. I wish. I'm the writer.
Very cool. See, and I can't do the writing, so
That thing floated around in my brain for like 4 or 5 years before I finally found an artist for it.
So, have we heard from I don't remember her name suddenly.
Auntie?
Shanti.
It's been about a week or so. But she says she was just getting used to her new drawing tablet and all that kind of stuff. So
Cool. Well, she's free to come hang out anytime we're doing this. So
yeah, I let her know.
I am
yeah,
going
so-
eventually. I am going to be doing a. We're going to be getting set up a Discord, so we don't have to have necessarily a limit to how many people can come on and do the hangouts with us. So, right now, with whatever platform we use, we're limited to 6 people. And we're also part of the reason we're on my channel as opposed to the Ideal Comics channel tonight was that Nick Mueller said, "You have way more viewers. You should just do it on your channel and see what happens." So that's what we're
There's
going to
been
do.
a little more interaction.
There has been a little bit more interaction, and the first time ever I've gotten comments from Twitch, and they're brilliant comments. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, they're on fire.
So for the record, whiskey.
Beer,
So-
rum, great stuff.
And caffeine, a sheer amount of caffeine. I used to use quite a bit of nicotine, but my unfortunately tobacco and my psoriasis aren't good friends, and I don't like internal bleeding. So I'm off of the cigars and the pipes, which makes me sad because the golden leaf was one of my great condolences. So,
Thing
Any-
is, I drink a lot of stuff with caffeine in it, but the caffeine doesn't do much for me because I also drink a lot of stuff that doesn't.
yeah.
It's the sugar. The
Yeah,
sugar.
the only thing that caffeine does for me is keep me from getting headaches at this
Mm.
point. I've never really been one of those people that it made much of a difference with staying awake. It's more the mechanical action of drinking that keeps me awake.
Same.
It's just like
Yeah.
having that, but I am chemically dependent on caffeine, and if I don't have coffee, I will have horrible headaches. So even though I don't, So that there you go. That's my life.
I haven't good.
I am
If I don't have coffee, I give others horrible headaches.
I won't give up coffee, but I give up my soda and energy drinks it's been 3 weeks now. It was tough.
But yeah. So, and pie is also a mood altering substance, that I enjoy. I shouldn't have it because, once again, psoriasis, but I'm willing to suffer for the sake of pie.
Pie.
That doesn't cause the bleeding so much, just discomfort. Okay. With that, we're going to wrap the thing. So, hey, Twitch guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. And I'm going to leave. Before we go, does anybody else have something they wanted to talk about? I think we hit all the things that needed business stuff and nonsense stuff.
Oh,
Just
all good.
harp back on the fact that I want you guys to show up to Cross Comics channel on Saturday at 3 Eastern, or you adjust it for whatever your time is, because I'm going to be game mastering a Final Fantasy themed tabletop game that a bunch of people are going to be playing, and it's going to be fun. Been making all the assets myself. It's going to be great.
And additionally, I am going to be.
Kelly has something to talk about.
Oh, I don't. Yeah. Out with it then. Out with it. Also on every Thursday, 7 to 9 Mountain Time, I do my show, The Matriarchy, here on my channels, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. and where I interview comics folks. And this week we're going to be doing an old guy stream. I've got Michael Hutchinson of Metro Med and formerly of Fanzing. He's coming on. I've got RJ from Critical Blast. I've got Perch of Comics by Perch, and that's it. So somebody else canceled on me. Hey, if you want to come on, Russ, I've got an open slot.
Yeah, send me the details. No promises at this point. I might be free. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, and the other one is I can't remember his name. He goes by Guano Guy on Twitter. And he's the writer of the Guano Guy comic, and I cannot remember his name right now. It's totally left my head. But he was the fourth, and then there was a fifth. Somebody else I thought was going to come, and he can't make it after all. But yeah, what is that dude's name? At Guano Guy. There you go. So, but yeah. Anyway, and next week on the show, on the 5th of November, when we might know who the president is. When Doug TenNapel is going to be on my show. So
that'll be an interesting show.
And that's in 2 weeks. I think if Fly Fox Pro is feeling up for it, I'm going to ask him on to because we both have done several reviews of Doug's work, and so I thought it'd be good to have a tag team interview. It'd be fun, and kind of go from there. But yeah.
Oh, it's actually funny because I forgot I had this idea because I thought it'd be the most troll thing. I saw a memory on Facebook from 2013, and I was like surefire convinced that we should have a live action Earthworm Jim movie.
That seems horrible.
Exactly.
I'll watch it.
But it would be amazing.
Amazingly horrible.
Well,
only if Doug was on, obviously.
What you got to do is you got to get those guys from the asylum to make it.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
They're kind of artsy. They could probably put up with Doug.
Oh man. Well, who knows? Maybe they could. I don't think it's really that tough.
Special character, all of his own.
Anyhow, let's call it a night. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks guys for coming on and talking projects. I am super excited for the stuff Ideal is doing. Once again, idealcomics.net/shop for digital copies of nearly our entire catalog. We've got a couple books that are not up there, which I need a new cover. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We will have a good night, guys.